Well, good afternoon. Thank you for joining me, and I am very pleased to welcome some distinguished guests to the podium today. And I'm joined here by Sheila Boyington, who is co-founder of Learning Blade, along with Dr. Dan Boyington, CTO, Chief Technical Officer at Learning Blade and co-founder, Commissioner Johnny Key, our Commissioner of Education, Director Teresa Childers of Career Education, Scott Smith, the Arkansas Public Resource Center. We have some great educators here, Rick Neal, who's the Superintendent of Pea Ridge Schools, Teresa Morgan, Siloam Springs Principal, and Ken Ramey, Siloam Springs Superintendent. Now, I'm sure I left off some, but that's some of the key folks that'll be speaking a little bit later. I am delighted as governor to emphasize a point that I have made previously, and that is I like small investments with big returns. I think that's what our computer coding initiative was. It was a small investment in terms of public dollars with a huge return in terms of national recognition, but also the fact that we have nearly 4,000 students taking computer coding for the first time in Arkansas. And today is another example of a small investment with big returns. And I see some of our legislators that are here that like those kind of returns as well. And thank you for joining us today. I am announcing today a $400,000 grant to provide every middle school in Arkansas free of charge a new tool to encourage career pathways in science, technology, engineering, and math curriculum and career paths. And also, at my request, but their initiative as well, for the first time, Learning Blade will be adding an element for computer coding within their learning program. Learning Blade will be the recipients of this program. They will be implementing this in the schools, and this will be through the Arkansas Public Resource Center. And so the grant will flow to the Arkansas Public Resource Center, who will make sure that this is available in every middle school in Arkansas. Learning Blade is not a curriculum. Learning Blade is a supplemental educational resource, and it will allow the students to explore fun ways of testing out their interest in engineering, testing out their interest in being an electrician, and now testing out their interest in computer coding to see if that's something that works for them, appeals to them. And we're all defined by where we come from initially. And we're limited in scope of our and vision by what our parents have given to us. But now they have a learning tool in school that can expose them to a new world of STEM courses, STEM opportunities, and STEM career paths. So this fits very well with the computer coding initiative, as well as our initiative of Be Pro, Be Proud, that we need to have more career pathways in Arkansas. So it fits perfectly in with what we are trying to do broadly as a state. As you know, my goal was to have 20% of our high school students take computer coding courses sometime while they're in high school. This year we have nearly 4,000, but we need to continue to market, to expand that. The fact that the Learning Blade has added a computer coding element means that we will be the first state to deploy Learning Blade with a computer coding element as part of the program and available to the students. So it's an exciting opportunity for the state. And with that, I wanted to introduce Sheila Boyington that will talk more about what Learning Blade means.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be in Arkansas, and just thank you so much to the governor for his leadership and really taking the country by the lead in terms of the computer needs. As many of you probably know, careers that are coming down the path about 85% require some kind of technology knowledge. And one of the things we've got to do better is make sure that our students are getting this exposure when they're in school, and certainly Arkansas has already taken the lead by the computer coding initiative. But additionally now they're taking an additional lead by making sure that we're not just showing kids how to code and how to learn these skills, but we're also going to demonstrate for them how those skills can be relevant and utilized in the careers. Commissioner Key and I were talking, and he reminded me the fact that our millennials really like career paths where they're helping people and they understand the societal needs. And a lot of times we're not really showing our students how these great STEM careers in computer science and all the way down through career and technical education actually impact our society in a very prominent way. So that was really kind of the basis of why we created Learning Blade, was to make sure. I happen to be an engineer with advanced degrees in engineering, and many times in my life I've had the opportunity to mentor young women or boys who had no idea what kinds of careers they could use with their engineering background. I try to tell people every day, you can major in engineering and you can pretty much do anything you want to. And so it's really important that we continue to demonstrate that. So what we tried to do was create a tool that was very easy for schools and teachers to implement. It could offer our rural communities the opportunity to expose kids to a wide range of careers and technologies. We have already over 90 different careers and technologies, and by this fall, adding some of these new computer types of skills in there and careers, including cybersecurity and other things, we'll have close to 100 different careers and technology. No one teacher should be expected to know all the types of careers that are out there. So giving them a robust tool like Learning Blade allows them to implement this at their will. It's again, as the governor mentions, it's a supplemental curriculum, so or a tool that can be utilized within any setting, whether it be during the class, after school, at home. It is all online, very user-friendly, very low bandwidth, so if technology is an issue, we really try to take that into account. So again, I am very excited to be here in Arkansas to celebrate with you as the first state to take the lead on this in terms of integrating it with the computer coding initiative to really make a comprehensive, in combination with what you're doing in career and technical education, what you're doing in academics, and making it really cohesive for your students of Arkansas. It is something that's going to be a model, and we will work very hard to make sure it is. And I personally want to thank the Arkansas Public School Resource Center for the excellent job that we did in the initial pilot. As we mentioned, we were expecting about 30 schools, and we got over 70 engaged in our pilot with over 5,000 students just in a few months. So we expect to impact many, many thousands of students across Arkansas, and we look forward to this. And again, thank you to Governor Hutchinson for just tremendous leadership for something that I'm very, very passionate about. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sheila, and hope somebody asked you about what kind of example would be used for cybersecurity. I thought it was interesting what you told us earlier. As Sheila mentioned, we did pilot this last year in a anticipated 40 middle schools, but it grew to over 60. And one of the schools that utilized this was Pea Ridge schools as well as Siloam. And I've asked Superintendent Rick Neal to give his perspective, and followed by that, Teresa Morgan, a principal at Siloam Springs.
Thank you, Governor. First of all, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity of being here and being able to recognize the work that's being done at Pea Ridge. We have, with the support from Dr. Childers and Commissioner Key, Scott Smith, and Barbara Hunter Cox, we've been able to really move the bar a little bit up on career and technical education. We're excited about the work that we're doing. We're so passionate about giving all kids opportunities to enhance and develop and give them opportunities and options throughout their educational career, but also give them a true vision of what they're really looking at and what they have the opportunity to live through. Over the last year, when we piloted this option at Learning Blades, we had the opportunity to take a look at students and give them opportunities to drive down those career technical opportunities to middle school students. It's so important that we are teaching these kids that there's more out there than what they see with doctors and lawyers and dentists and typical jobs that they see every day. Our state is resourceful. It has so many options and opportunities out there that everything that we're doing, and this gives us one more tool on our tool belt to give those kids opportunities. We had 156 kids participate. Over 5,000 units of study was done. The overall availability that they had to really see the outcome of what career education is all about, and being able to tie it to STEM and do those things with project-based learning that's so important to our kids right now because they need those skills. But again, I'd like to thank everybody up here for the options that we've had, and turn this over to Ms. Morgan.
Teresa?
Well, good afternoon. My name is Teresa Morgan. I'm with Siloam Springs Middle School. And we also would like to thank the governor and his office for the opportunity, and APSRC for their members and their office, and of course Learning Blade for bringing this to us this past spring. It was a quick kickoff. Our teachers first went to some training in early March. We had spring break and we came back and we got kids into Learning Blade, kind of exploring what the options were and the possibilities. And our teachers quickly found that Learning Blade served as a tool to supplement and to enhance and extend the learning within their courses. We kicked this off in our career technical courses, and teachers began to use Learning Blade to build background for a career field that they were about to study, or they also used it for students who maybe were ahead in a project or had other interests, and they knew that this would be enhancing. And so students were sometimes given the choice on the direction that they would go on their missions, and sometimes teachers would set that up in advance for them so that they would come in with a greater interest in what they were about to learn, maybe in studying renewable resources. In thinking about what I would like to share with you, I wanted to come from the student's perspective. And the student's perspective, some testimonies from students. One is a young lady who is in our Gifted and Talented program at Siloam Springs Middle School. And she said to me that it gave her the opportunity to find interest in areas that she didn't know that she had interest, like in architecture or in energy resources. I spoke with a student, he was a student with autism. And when I called their home, the parents said, well, I don't know if he's going to speak to you, Miss Morgan. And I said, well, let's try. And so he got on the phone, and I asked him about Learning Blade and how he liked Learning Blade and what he did with Learning Blade. And he told me, he said, I like working alone, but I know now that I might find a job where I can work alone. And that was just very inspiring for him and for his parents to hear that conversation. We had a teacher who sometimes would take the Learning Blade program and allow students to work in teams. And one such instance was with a group of ESL students with level 1 and level 2 language development. And the academic language is much more difficult for these students than their social language. And so reading is a big part of Learning Blade. And there is a feature or a tool that allows them to hear the reading sections that they must tackle before they can go into solving the problem. And so these three young men would sit together and they would play that with the read aloud, and then they would begin talking and working and solving. And the teacher, as I spoke to him about it as well, he was just excited to see students at that level of language development show their interest in careers and in being able to have success in solving problems in career areas and technical areas that they would not have otherwise had exposure to at the 8th grade level. So we're excited that other middle schools across the state are going to have these same opportunities for their children. So once again, thank you.
Excellent. With that, we'll take any questions you might have.
So is there any kind of time limit on this in terms of how long this grant is for? It's just ongoing for how long the schools use the program?
Well, we would expect this to be an investment year after year, and would be ultimately built into the budget. So, I mean, obviously, you change directions as needed, but that's our intent. And we are delighted that we're really the second state to fully deploy this in all middle schools, and we're the first state to deploy it with a computer coding element.
This release uses the term game-based. How do games figure into this?
Sheila,
Yes.
explain that.
Yes,
Game.
so it is, so of course, for middle school students, we needed to make it exciting for them, so we did create kind of a game-based atmosphere, and I think you heard earlier missions were referred to. So we created missions that students go on to solve societal problems. Again, back to the whole need to make this relevant for our students. We created missions that actually kind of tell a story, and so as the governor was mentioning, our new cybersecurity mission that focuses on computer coding is going to be that your website for your school has been hacked, and how do you solve it? And the way you solve the mission is by earning what we call tools and teammates. So the tools are STEM technologies, and the teammates are STEM careers. Now remember, our one big goal here is to get kids interested into these career paths. The number one reason kids do not explore STEM or computer science careers is not because they don't like math or science or they find it too hard. It's because they don't know about them. And so our whole goal here is to create that awareness, and by contextualizing it into this game base. So students earn points for completing their problems, for completing the missions. They have stars. As Teresa mentioned earlier, we have a team sort of component. If you want to try to create teams, kids can be on teams and be able to sort of compete in that way. And we have a leaderboard, and there's a lot of game aspects to it that are available just to make it more intriguing and fun for the students.
Anything else on this topic? And I know you have some other things to ask about that we'll make ourselves available, but anything else here?
Who was the first state?
Tennessee. Tennessee. Commissioner, do you have anything else?
Just thank you, Governor. Just to say that Learning Blade fits very well into the vision that we have established and are establishing for the state of Arkansas, and that's that the department is transforming Arkansas to lead the nation in student-focused education. And there's nothing more student-focused than when an educator tells a story about a young man who, in many cases, just does not have that connection, that engagement, but that can see an engagement piece for him and where he fits. That meets the definition of student-focused in anybody's dictionary. So we're really excited at the department about this rollout, and thanks to our partners for helping us with that at Arkansas Public School Resource Center. And we're looking forward to how this develops and the feedback we're going to get over the next few years. Thank you, Governor.
With that, I do want to thank Senator Bledsoe for being here, Senator Flippo, Chairman. We thank you for your leadership of the Education Committee as well, Representative Cozart. So I think I recognize the legislators here, but they've been very supportive, and that means a lot to me. We've tried to brief them on it, and they've showed a lot of excitement about it. Thank you all very much.